For sure, for sure.
And what is going on, everyone? Happy Monday. And, we just want to, remember and honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to serve this beautiful country. Happy Memorial Day. And, we just want to shout out to everyone, who has served in any way, shape, or form. Means the absolute world to me and Harley, as some dudes who just, sit here in front of a mic in a camera. We want to shout out Bleach Report, allowing us to come on here, talk Houston Texans football. Also, big shout out to the man upstairs, Harley. How's it going?
Doing well, man. Likewise for everything. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. Appreciate everyone that has served and passed away and honored the flag and everything. Love it. We love y'all, man. We appreciate all of y'all's families as well too. Man, we get to be blessed to talk to a camera for 30 minutes,
Mhm.
and hopefully one day it talks back to us. But yeah, man, I'm having a blast, man. It's Texans off season. It's always fun. We had ourselves a little cookout already here at the crib, so
Yeah.
we're doing our thing,
Okay. Yeah. I saw the meat pic posted on Twitter. Beautifully seasoned. I love it. I love it. The Houston Texans, Harley, as you know, the off season is now. I mean, it's pretty much over at this point. Um, the latest news that we have gotten was from Rick Scoops, and that was that the Houston Texans are rumored to be interested in running back J.K. Dobbins, who last played from the Los Angeles Chargers. Outside of that, um, haven't really heard any news regarding the Houston Texans, but we do have a CJ Stroud sighting, Harley. There was a TikTok that was, it's just so crazy how social media just plays a part in everything nowadays. But there was a TikTok of just CJ Stroud fishing with his agent, David Mulligetta. So nothing big there. If you compare CJ Stroud this offseason to the last, I mean, it's just night and day. We have not seen this guy outside of sporting events, speeches. I believe he's going to be a part of Joe Mixon's camp that is coming up. Speaking
Yes.
of Joe Mixon, it was reported by Aaron Wilson that Joe Mixon is currently in a walking boot.
Hmm.
Now, we have no idea what happened. I'm not going to speculate either. Which kind of makes sense to why maybe they were poking around, and by they the Houston Texans, and looking at a J.K. Dobbins who is on the free agent market. I don't know if Wilson Harley reported that it's anything significant for Joe.
Yeah, I know he mentioned it actually a few weeks ago that he had seen Joe Mixon in a walking boot, but he said that it was just for precautionary,
Love it.
measurements basically. But it made me wonder because was Aaron Wilson just like, and this is just an opinion. This is just
Mhm.
me, thinking
Speculate, yeah.
out loud. Yeah, speculating. Was it? Oh, okay. He's just in a walking. Oh, okay. It ain't nothing
Mhm.
serious. Like he asked, and oh, it ain't nothing serious. Did they just give him that answer that it ain't nothing serious? Because then all of a sudden, you just mentioned you get a few days ago a tweet from this slick Rick Scoops, who is an former NFL insider, talking about the Texans snooping around on J.K. Dobbins.
Mm.
So it makes you wonder, okay, well, is this not serious, or is this something that we absolutely now got to keep an eye on? I'm actually interested to see what Joe Mixon will look like in his pro camp.
Mm.
Is he going to be out there in a walking boot?
Yeah,
Like,
and that's going to be very telling.
yeah, there's going to be media members there to give you the latest and the scoop on that. So, that's going to be a question he's going to have to answer. How's your foot? Is there something wrong with you?
Let me actually go look and see when is his football camp.
It's June
Um,
7th.
June 7th. Okay. So if he's still in a walking boot at June, we have some problems. Because now
Yeah,
this will be what now 3 months inside of a boot. Like
at, at,
how much caution do you need?
at least it's like what we think, right? Like,
Right.
I guess.
At least two and a half months.
There's that's starting to make you wonder because
Mhm.
why, it also makes you go, okay, well, think about it, just not slick Rick Scoops. Now I understand there was these other running backs. They don't have a lot of name to the game, but the Texans were snooping around at a few running backs. Both of them that had played in their past with Joe
Mm.
Mixon at some point. That Aaron Wilson had the Texans taking a look at a few of them. I believe it was like Travion Williams and some other guy. Again, no very low tier running
Yeah.
backs that are probably just camp bodies, but still, it makes you wonder what is going on there at the running back position.
Mm.
It's starting to create some uneasiness for me.
And this is the fun things that we get to do in the off season, ladies and gentlemen, is just speculate about a walking boot. But hey, it's now it's starting to like now I'm starting to see the dots now, Harley,
Mhm.
of something that I don't want to see potentially, and that is Joe Mixon not ready for training camp, right? And with Joe Mixon coming off of a 1,000-yard season, double digit touchdowns, his first year with the Houston Texans was just fantastic. Couldn't ask for more. So wishing Joe Mixon the very best. Hopefully, at his camp, we see him out there doing the drills with the kids. But moving on, Harley, there was a discourse on Twitter today, and there was this tweet. Now, this tweet said, I think Danielle Hunter, may be the best free agent signing in Houston Texans history. And then I started thinking to myself because I immediately disagreed. I immediately had one player pop into my mind. And that was Jonathan Joseph. Who the
Yes.
Houston Texans signed from the Cincinnati Bengals, was right smack in the prime of his career. I think immediately got 4 interceptions and was a Pro Bowler for Houston. Spent 9 seasons with the Houston Texans. Later became a coach during the year one of the CJ Stroud era. I would think Jonathan Joseph would be up there in terms of a Mountain Rushmore of free agent signings.
He is the best free agent signing. There's no question about it.
Mm.
That is the answer. It will always be the answer. Unless Daniel
Oh
Hunter,
yes.
like, he has to have a sack record here in Houston, and it's got to legitimately grab you a Super Bowl.
Mm.
You know, like,
For
that's
sure.
the only way where I will
Yeah.
change my mind. But J. Joe played for 9 years. Should be, to be honest, I think he should be a candidate. I don't know if he could be inducted in the Ring of Honor, but he should be a candidate. He should be somebody that's talked about for the Ring of Honor. He deserves it. He played so great here. And I think what people forget is the Houston Texans were not anything in the NFL. They were a
No.
decent team. They were treading the waters. They were kind of a 500 team with Gary Kubiak at this point.
8-8,
And
8-7, 9-6.
yeah, that was basically it. And they could never make the playoffs. They had a pretty good year when they got Bernard Pollard and they
Mhm.
beat the Patriots at the end of the year. And you were hoping that they could get in the playoffs at 9-7. It didn't happen. But you went and not only get Wade Phillips, obviously changing a whole lot, but the best one was Jonathan Joseph. When you went for the first time in franchise history, you really dropped your nuts on the table and said, we're going to get arguably one of the best free agents on the market, the second best cornerback that was on the market at that
Yeah,
time.
because Namdi
Shout out to
Osmawal was
Namdi
hey,
Asamoah.
okay.
Andre Johnson's best friend. It did not happen. He ended up rotting over where did he go? The Eagles. Ended up rotting at the Eagles with the dream team over there. And the Texans ended up getting Jonathan Joseph, and it signaled a change in the franchise because we were absolutely legit all of a
Mhm.
sudden.
And one thing about J. Joe, he was there during your first ever playoff run. And if you remember J. Joe, he'll give you a pick six every single year. There were games that Jonathan Joseph won by himself. I believe he also had a pick six in one, and I think the second wild card matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. But I think with Daniil Hunter, because this is a fun conversation, because obviously he's not going to be here for 9 years. I think realistically, Daniil has maybe, including this season, 3 to 4 years. If he can give you 1 to 2 more Pro Bowls, because Jonathan Joseph only gave you one, and he gave
Mhm.
you maybe 1 to 2 more double-digit sacks, it's going to be hard not to put Mr. Daniil Hunter up there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, see, that's it's tough because
It's hard.
I think of what Wade Smith did here as a free agent signing, and it's a signing that nobody will think about, but it what he did to help your offensive line that we didn't know that was going to happen, but him coming here and becoming a Pro Bowler here and helping your offensive line become legit as well. Now, obviously, there was other guys on that line that helped too. He wasn't the main factor, but
Mhm.
man, there's some weight when it comes to Wade Smith. There's some weight
Have you
to
seen how he looks now, by the way?
oh yeah, great for him, man. He's
Dude,
lost a bunch of weight.
he's
A lot of
skinny.
old linemen do that. They lose all the weight as soon as they're retired,
Yeah, I think it's the wide receivers and running backs who get fat.
especially some running backs, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh-huh.
there's other free agents that the
Yeah.
Texans have signed.
Antonio Smith, the
Yeah, there we
ninja.
go.
He gave you
Multiple.
a good, he was
He wasn't
I
a Pro
believe, a
Bowler.
one-time Pro Bowler for you.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
I
of
think
Shane
it was
Leckler.
two. I think it was two.
I feel like two. I don't know why. I
Let me
felt
see.
like
Let
two.
me see. Let me see. Let me
I,
see.
I thought it was
Shane
Shane
Leckler,
Leckler.
look at you.
Shane Leckler is a Hall of Famer, and he came here to Houston and was magnificent. Oh my goodness, Shane Leckler was badass. And
Yes.
I know people will scoff at a punter.
So he was a 1 year Pro Bowler, but I feel like that
Hmm.
last year he was an alternate or something.
Yeah, huh?
But
I feel
still, one, two, three,
because he had some
four,
good years.
5 years with Houston and was pretty much a starter in all
Yeah.
those years. 4 sacks, 6.5, seven,
Hmm.
5. He had the wonderful celebration of the
The
ninja, the
ninja.
assassin. Um, Shout out to this, to Antonio Smith,
I know. I also think of Jonathan Joseph's running mate in free agency,
Daniel
and I
Manning.
think of Daniel Manning.
Woo!
Both of them guys immediately made
Transformed your secondary.
yes, and it made the NFL national media go, "Oh man, we got to watch these Texans. They're
Right.
on to
Yeah.
something. They're on to something." You got Wade Phillips, and you just signed Daniel Manning and Jonathan Joseph, and I mean, how funny the contract was at the time. You gave Jonathan Joseph almost about a 5 year, $50 million contract. You know,
And how much did we give Stingley?
oh boy, I don't even remember. Wasn't it
It was like 5 year, 120 something.
something like that, right? I want to
Oh
say
man,
so. Um,
money
yeah, I mean, Daniel Hunter could be on his track
on his
to
track.
be in, but as of right now, like I would say he's had more of an impact than like Tyrann Matthew.
Shout out to Tyron Matthew.
He was here for 1 year and he did decent here. He did solid. Um, but I would say
Stephon Diggs.
yeah, that was a trade. That was a trade. That was a trade. So
Okay, okay, okay. So we're not putting trades in this.
are we not? I mean, I don't know. Then I'd have to take a look
I
at
mean,
what.
cause oh well, yeah. I mean, cause someone brought up Matt Shop, and I was like,
Yeah, that was a
that's
trade.
fair, but we did trade for him, so I wonder if that's the
Yeah,
criteria. But I mean, still,
huh?
you did a
I have to. I don't know. I would have to take a peek at who we all traded for. Because then, if we're looking at trades, what about Laramie Tunsil?
that's up there.
Even though it's not the greatest trade in the world, LT, hey, he had multiple Pro Bowls here.
5 time
He
Pro
want he
Bowler.
he wanted that All Pro. He wanted it.
Man,
He
you think
believes
he
it.
gets it in Washington? Dude, I hope he
No,
does.
I don't think he does.
Mm.
I just don't think so. I just don't think he's. They no, I can't see it.
They had their OTAs. He wasn't there.
Obviously, let's come on, man. I think of the worst free agent signings as well too. My goodness,
Let's
I
talk
think of
about
some
him.
of them.
Brock Osweiler has to be up there
He's
because
definitely up there.
the hype around. I mean, Okay, did Brock Osweiler had you believing a little bit?
I'm gonna be honest.
Come on.
I was the one guy on the boat where everyone else was hyping him and Lamar Miller up. I was not. I was not
You
happy.
you were not on the Brock train.
I was not. It didn't do
Okay,
nothing for
fair.
me. I thought it was weird that if he was supposed to be the guy, I thought he should have took over for Peyton Manning then.
Hmm. I
And I
think
never understood that.
the two parts that sold me were his game against the Patriots, which was a
Yeah,
dub, and that was the one where like just the fact that you could not beat those dudes, and he beat the guys you
and he
couldn't
did him.
beat.
Yeah.
The other one was when his Gruden quarterback camp came out
Oh
earlier.
my god.
Dude, it was that bad for
Memory bank.
yeah, like the Gruden QB camp came out and we were like, all right, like okay. Um, I was excited for Lamar Miller, you know, uh, based off of what he did the year previous, which was gash the Texans for I believe 205 yards. And I was like, oh my God, this and Lamar Miller, hey, he has to be up there as one of your best free agent signings. Was he a Pro Bowler? Couple of 1,000-yard seasons. Let's look
He's
at
not.
it.
I didn't even think of no Lamar Miller. You heard me. I thought of Shane Leckler before the Lamar Miller.
Let's look at his
You know
stats.
who I think of before Lamar Miller?
Talk to
I
me.
think of Bradley Roby before
Bradley
Lamar Miller.
Roby.
He was amazing here during
What
his
about
time.
Garyon Conley? That 1 year of Garyon. Oh my gosh.
That's unfortunate, man. He's the biggest what if, one of the biggest what ifs for the
1,000 yards,
Texans.
800 yards, 970 yards. And he was a
He didn't
Pro
do
Bowler
he
in
didn't do
that.
jack squat for me.
That's not bad numbers for a
Good for him.
you're
I just never liked I never liked Lamar Miller. Didn't make any sense to me. Didn't like it. I was just like, why am I getting a Lamar Miller for? The
Mm.
guy ain't gonna do it here in Houston.
Carlos Hyde. 1 year of a strong Carlos Hyde.
Okay, he was all
That was
right.
surprising. That was more surprising than anything.
Yeah, we can go into that rabbit hole of Bill O'Brien's years because there's some bad signings.
Dude, there's a lot.
Or Brian Gain, who, if you want to combine both, they were ridiculous.
We were excited for Brian Gain. Dude, wasn't he 1 year into his contract extension where he got
One,
fired?
yeah, they gave him they hired him, and then a year later, I don't even know if he made it a year to be honest. Uh, and he got fired, and I was like, what's going on?
There were some dark
That's where,
times. There were some dark times
yeah.
with this Houston Texans team.
So, I mean, some of the worst free agent signing besides maybe Brock Osweiler, but there's two I think of immediately. It's
Ed Reed. Oh,
Ed Reed, and Amon Green.
okay.
Amon Green was a big signing for you, and you thought that this veteran was going to come in here and continue doing what he did in Green Bay. And there wasn't a lot of emphasis on aging running backs yet in the league.
Yeah.
And he was a aging running back in his 30s that had no flavor, none. It's like you found a piece of bubble gum that already been chewed up on the sidewalk, and it still got some color left, and you think
But
it
no
got
flavor.
flavor, and for some reason you put it in your mouth, and there's none flavor whatsoever. That was Amon Green. Ed Reed, I think of Raheem Moore. Raheem Moore was
Mm.
a horrible free agent signing. He didn't do nothing for you. Aaron Colvin was another
Philip
one.
Lindsay was a tough one. Mark
God,
Ingram was a tough one.
those are some bad free agent signings. Those are some bad ones.
Yeah.
Hell, offensive lineman. I can immediately think of Jeff Allen. You gave
Jeff
Jeff
Allen.
Allen guard a bunch of money.
Ooh,
Zach
we
Fulton.
did. Yeah, we signed him from Kansas City.
Yes,
Wow.
him. And I remember we got Zach Fulton, and you
Zach
got
Fulton.
him a good chunk of change as well too. He didn't do nothing for you here. Two guys that were supposed to solve the guard, the interior offensive line that the Texans still have no
Mm.
answer for to this day. But hey, we're we're talking about bad free agents, okay? Um, Yeah, man, my goodness.
We've never had a
Oh,
good offensive line outside of those 1 to 2, 3 Kubiak years.
yeah, we haven't. You kind of had one brewing, but then you let Brandon Brooks walk in a free agency. You
And he
didn't bring
became
back
our
Ben
fraud.
Jones, so those were two guys right there.
That whole Ben
Uh,
Jones story just got me mad when I heard it.
that's cheesy. That's a cheesy story. That's so cheesy. Screw Ben Jones. I was just like, all right, dude. So you decided I
Less
want
money.
less money and go to my division rival because I felt something there. For what? Like we both went to the playoffs about the same number of times, during that span
Mhm.
almost. They just went to the AFC Championship game. We didn't. That's the only difference. Okay, whatever. Continue being barefoot on grass and freezing your toes off in the winter. Whatever. That didn't make no sense to me. Um, Man, I don't know
Letting
who
Glover
else.
Quinn go was, was tough.
Which one?
Glover Quinn letting him go.
Yeah, that. Well, I mean, we talked to Glover Quinn
It
about it. That was a tough one. I hated that as a kid.
became like
Even
a
though
two-time All Pro.
I hated it as a kid, but hey, at the same time, I was hyped about Ed Reed.
Dude, we thought Ed Weed was the final piece.
I thought, oh man, we got ourselves Ed Reed. We about to turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, did not work that way at all. Um, Man, I don't know who else is a bad free agent and a good free agent, but I think we pretty much hit the nail
Yeah, we
on
hit
every
the
one of
nail.
them.
It's just since we're not that old, like these signings are still fresh into our minds. Man, when you were bringing up the offensive lineman and we just talked about outside of those few good years with Kubiak that it's been just not good since. I'm back to being worried about this year's offensive line, Harley. I know how I said last week that I have a little bit more faith because of my head coach and general manager, but I'm worried, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still worried about the offensive line. We all know, I mean, they didn't do a lot this offseason
Hmm.
to address the line. They grabbed a bunch of guys, but that's all you really
Jags.
did. Yeah, you added a bunch of guys. That's basically it. And so we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. Um, they obviously have belief and faith that
Yeah.
Nick Caley and Cole Popovich are going to be the guys to transform this and turn the offensive line around.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I hope it can't get any worse than last year. You were the second most allowed sacks last year, besides the Chicago Bears, who gave up like 68. Like my goodness, you gave up 52. I'm hoping they can return to 2023. 2023, we had an average offensive line. You gave up 38 sacks that
Hmm.
year, and that's when CJ Stroud was really cooking and doing his thing. If CJ can get back to his rookie year with this average O line and transform that into the growth of year three, you can get a rather pretty decent offense that, excuse me, I know we're thinking optimistically.
Yeah.
But if the stars align that way, the Houston Texans could have themselves a pretty good offense going into 2025.
Hmm. And I've seen this, this point being brought up, like, why are you guys saying just be average for this offensive line, right? Wouldn't you want your offensive line to be world
Oh yeah.
beaters? And I said, absolutely. I mean, in a perfect world,
Yeah.
absolutely. I would love for this, for this O line to have CJ go from the second most sacked quarterback to the second fewest sacked quarterbacks, but that's not a reality. And we've brought up the limited amount of success we had. We have some PTSD with this offensive line because last season we were saying with the highest paid offensive line in the NFL, a line that did not start one game together in CJ Stroud's rookie year, that this was going to be the offensive line that we've been waiting for, and we found out as early as week 2 in the city on Sunday Night Football against Chicago. That was not it. And now, like Hardy says, we just got to wait and see what it can become. But I like Nick Caley. I like Cole Popovich. I think you convinced me in that sense to where maybe Chris Strausser really did have the final say, even though he was just 1 year out from retirement. They did their job in improving the offensive line in terms of who's at the helm, who's calling plays. Maybe they lost the Pro Bowl left tackle, but
Mhm.
you gain 2 to 3 just average guys, which brings me back to this point. The bar has been so low.
Yeah.
We've seen CJ Stroud with a god awful offensive line win 10 games, be I'm sorry, not untouchable, but be a game changer towards the end of the year with the offensive line. I could only fathom what he can do with an average one. I could only imagine what he can do with a good one. And it's been that conversation for us Houston Texans fans forever. David Carr did not have a good offensive line. Deshaun Watson did not have a good offensive line. And CJ Stroud, in 1 year out of the two, he's had a bad one. So you want to get this fixed, man, because you're hoping three is the charm, but we've seen this story before. And once we start to
Mhm.
see the patterns, we're like, all right, let's pack it up. We know what we got to fix in the offseason. It's the same thing over and over again. It's the same old Houston Texans. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why there was numerous amounts of that question at the State of the Texans event. Like,
Mm,
I know it was annoying to hear the same question over and over again, but at the same time, how can you not ask about the offensive line if you're a concerned Texan fan?
mm,
Because it is tough to sell me and you that they've added Ed Ingram, Lincoln Tomlinson, some draftees. They're running it back with Juice and Jarrett Patterson. They signed Cam Robinson. They drafted Ursery. They have Blake Fisher. None of the guys made you go, oh, yeah, I like that.
mm,
Yeah, none of them, and on top of it, you got to sell to the fans that trading away your Pro Bowl left tackle is a good move.
mm.
And for fans, it is a tough pill to swallow. They can get behind it, but because you did not add anything that was in the realm of a Laramie Tunsil kind of player in terms of Pro Bowls and accolades and all that, and just being a good left tackle. Like whatever Laramie Tunsil is, at the end of the day, we're gonna miss what he was in terms of
As
his
a pass
pass
protector,
protection.
yeah.
He's still one of the top five left tackles in pass blocking. You're gonna miss that this year. Yes,
Hmm.
Cam Robinson is okay. He's solid. He's average. There's gonna be games where speed rushers specifically killed Cam Robinson.
Mm,
And just because he stonewalled Daniel Hunter or Will Anderson just this previous year, I don't give a crap about that. Good. Good for you. He stonewalled one of our DNs. Guess what? He's not going to be playing them in the regular season.
mm,
He's not. All right. He's going to have to go up against Josh Allen Hines with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You think he knows who he is? He was a former teammate of his. Okay.
mm.
He knows him like the back of his hand. So not only him, there's many others, that you're going to be taking a look at defensively. Cam Robinson's going to have a lot in store for him, and I hope he lives up to that 14 million that you paid him. The O line's got worries. There's nothing wrong to say you are worried and
Mm.
concerned about this offensive line. Like there is a method with this O line. You hope that it can become better. Obviously, it's not going to go into the top 10 offensive line tomorrow. I wish,
I
but it's
wish
like it's like a scientific method. You can't just go from your observation and your question and then skip everything else and go straight to the
to the conclusion. Yeah.
experiment. Like you can't do that. It's a process. That's what the Texans are doing right now. It's just trying to believe the process right now.
Mm.
It's a little 76ers trust the process thing.
Oh, I don't want to hear about trusting the process with those two and Joel Embiid
It almost
and
worked, man. It
PG
almost worked.
13. But
It almost worked for them.
hey, These NBA playoffs have been fantastic so far.
They've been so much fun. The Knicks making it a series.
Dude, Knicks make it fun. I'm not gonna lie. I find myself
Fans are
rooting.
fun.
They're fun, and especially
I'm
when you
not rooting for them.
see
Not
you're
rooting for
not
them.
who you going
Oh
for?
hell no. Oh hell
You
no.
want Indiana?
Oh, big time. Big
What?
time. Big time. Why do I want, as much as New York Knicks fans are entertaining, why do I want to hear them?
Fair.
Because at some point, somehow, there will be a Knicks game where all of a sudden they just start chanting F Altuve.
Mm,
You know that'll happen. It feels like that could happen tomorrow. Like it's just so random. It's New York. They don't
New
care.
York.
I can't stand New York. It's an Astros thing for me. I've always hated New York. I've always hated the Yankees. I can't do it.
Speaking of the Astros, 304, taking the series away from the Seattle Mariners. And these games matter because these games are worth 1 point in terms of the standing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this Monday. We will be back on Wednesday to talk about whatever the hell the Houston Texans do. Hey, maybe right there we're talking about J.K. Dobbins being a Texan. But that was Harley. I am Ruben. For more content, you feel free to come back on Wednesday. Have a blessed day, guys.